have a proper lens setup today, so you can't see it, but currently it's 103. And I don't know if you can tell, but the wind is blowing, right? So it's like filming videos for you guys in the literal incarnation of a hairdryer. Got plenty of water though. So we got a couple of things to talk about today. First off, I want to start the video off on a good note. Eric picked up a project. So you got a new toy, which we're having to get drastic measures on to get it on the trailer. How much on this thing can you say already is going to change?
Frame, axle, front end, like quite a bit of stuff.
So we're gonna have some fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun. This is a daily driver that I can actually like start driving.
Now I want everybody to hear that. He said daily driver. Now I'm gonna need y'all's help though, because somehow we gotta talk him into boosting that thing and tubbing it and doing a super single and the right paint color. I'm thinking lime green, kind of like what he did for Valkyrie's cage on the way to SEMA. Still haven't forgiven him for that. But what I'm saying with that right there is we're gonna get back to building some stuff, which leads me to my next point today. We gotta talk about old girl here. There's nothing particularly wrong with this car that didn't come from the factory. And what do I mean by that? So anybody who has the W205, first off, keep your car. I don't know if you guys have seen the reviews of the W206. If you haven't, go watch Throttle House review. I respect those dudes because they are honest and they just kind of put it down for how it is. That thing is a massive, heavy, 4-cylinder disappointment. I said what I said. You lost a turbo, you lost 4 cylinders, and you gave it a battery that barely lasts. And you made it heavier than a TRX. I don't know if it's actually heavier than a TRX, but it sounds good for the video. So what I'm getting at there is keep that car. It's gonna be worth some money. This thing's gonna end up being worth some more money than it already is. It's got a factor already, like a rarity to it, and why I will never get rid of it. So before we dive into tearing this thing up just a little bit, we're gonna go back to our old video, the one we just put up, talking about how I found the 1320. We have decided that we will be getting another track toy. Gotta get back to the track. We're gonna be talking about tracks and the disappearance of those things too by the end of this video. So stay tuned for that. But I've got a couple of things in the works. And there are a couple of things on the W205 that from the factory just don't make sense to me. And what I mean by that is the people who could buy these when they first came out, because you're talking 85, 88, upwards of 100 grand for a well spec'd out car. Yes, I am also talking about dealership markups. You expect a certain level of luxury, and the people that buy these cars, that's what they care about. They care about luxury. Yes, they want to have that little bit of oomph when they hit the pedal. I get that, that little bit of turbo. It's a little bit of fun. You just, right? Good sounding exhaust, if you get the sport exhaust just directly from the factory. But those of us that like performance, we've definitely found a couple issues. First issue, okay? The hot V design. Now, I understand the whole point of the hot V design is to make it a little more efficient, turbo spool up, blah, 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 heat this, that, and the other. Problem is these little turbos, and you get people like me who want to tune this thing, right? Well, if you look closely at my ZAC performance intakes, these started out as the same color carbon as the rest of the car, right? They have gotten so hot that those have completely changed colors now. They're yellow. It doesn't look good. We will be replacing these with another intake. There is potentially an ambassadorship coming from a company here in Texas. Use your context clues. Now obviously, just like any turbo car, these things are gonna put off a massive amount of heat. And this thing being the hot V design, it puts off an incredible amount of heat. I'm also running Rentec 200 cell catted downpipes. I wear flip-flops all the time. It's the military in me. I lived in San Diego for a while. Flip-flops are how I live my life, and especially out here in Texas right now, it is 105 degrees, right? I have set my foot outside of this car in my garage and felt like the hair on my feet were singed. I'm not making that up. Now, would you like some proof of how hot this thing gets besides discolored carbon? If you notice, like right here, there's something missing. What doesn't mix well with heat? Rubber and plastic. So stand by. I got something to show you about that rubber and plastic and why we have a zip tie holding our hood release on a Brabus. This is the piece that usually goes right there. And it has like little active aero parts, right? Wind hits it and this flap opens, allows a little more air in, right? These connect to inlet tubes that feed directly into the bottom of the intake to get you as much cold air as possible, right? To control those IATs, this, that, and the other. Here's the problem. I want you guys to take a nice close look. What do you see right there? That's just ate away. That's damaged. All of the rubber sealing on this is damaged. This whole side over here, damaged. And what's it damaged from? Car's never been crashed. What's it damaged from? Heat. Now, the ironic part is, if you can use half your brain for a second and realize that these ain't giving as much air as you think, you can take that shroud off of this thing and be perfectly fine. I drive this thing without it all the time. Do I need to do something besides a zip tie? Sure. It's too hot to be doing all this bitching. When you got these little turbos, right, on a V8, they spool pretty quickly. Stock, this thing comes with 503. Don't need to worry about what my numbers are. Just know that she's tuned, she's doing fine. But with that, one of the inherent problems when you're running that much boost and that much power is traction. So, if you buy one of the coupes, it's not a big deal. That's because the coupes come with a larger rear end. Somehow, they're able to fit 305s. Now, you'll get the naysayers and the peers that come into the group and on the video, and they're gonna be in the comments talking crazy, saying all kinds of stuff like, it ain't about how wide your tire is, it's about compound, blah. Surface area matters, bud. I have a background in drag racing. You know what, you may have a background in Porsche, that's cute. However, some of us have wisdom behind our ears and have been there and played that game, and I have learned that traction deviates not only from the proper compound in the tire, but also width of the tire. Now, back to what I was saying, the coupe, you can fit a 305. Must be nice. Remember, I just put a new set of wheels on here, right? We just put a brand new set of tires on here. We're running the Continental Extreme Context Sport 02s. Phenomenal tire. Beats the Pilot 4S all day. No, my last tire setup, I was running a 275 in the back, a 255 in the front. We probably need to go back to the 255s in the front because we're running a 245, but we have some camber issues to work out there. Now here in the back, I went to a 285 from the 275, okay? This side, not that bad, but you can see we got some rubbing issues, right? Check this out, check this side out. This side is getting absolutely chewed up. I mean, there's rubber on the fender. I thought it was the suspension, but it actually isn't. Upon further review of the car and talking to people in forums, and people have owned these for a lot longer than I have, it's a 19 by 9.5 with a 285 on it. It just won't work. I need to go back down to the 275 because right now, every bump that we're hitting, we have the adaptive suspension on here. We're running a KW system in the front with their Haas drop springs in the back. I don't want to lift the car up anymore. I love the stance that it has right now, but with that rub, it's tearing into my fenders. It's gonna tear up these tires. I'm gonna go ahead and say a shout out now to my boy Matt over at Discount Tire. We've already talked, 275's on the way. Not a big deal, we'll get past that. Here's where it doesn't make sense to me, okay? If you look at the same cars, the sedan versus the coupe has worse gearing than the sedan. If you go stock for stock, the sedan will walk the coupe. So why does it get more tire? I don't really understand that. Let's talk about some of the other things on here. You get premature wear of really dumb things on this car. Like I was saying a minute ago, we have camber issues where I understand that the camber settings from the factory is for performance, it's for handling, I get that. With that camber, it's also gonna put premature wear on parts. So my lower control arms and ball joints are gonna be replaced here soon because I've got one that above 80 miles an hour is shaking. And then last but not least, we're gonna need to take the camera off of here and put everything away so we can talk about it. But for a car of this stature with the AMG name and everything, you wouldn't expect this thing to creak so much. It's nonstop, and I get it. Hey, you got a loud exhaust, put it in sport mode, turn up the volume, enjoy the soundtrack, I get it. But sometimes, I like taking my lady to nice dinners and things like that. Hearing the plastic of the carbon fiber creak, and for those of you who are like, oh, carbon fiber doesn't creak. Dude, carbon fiber at the end of the day is just really expensive, nice rigidity of plastic. That's all it is. Some of y'all are gonna get butthurt. No, it's not. I have more carbon on this car than you. Bet you. And I'm telling you right now, that's all it is extremely fancy plastic. It creaks so much, the whole car. The headliner, the panoramic roof, all creak. The center console creaks. With that, we gotta show you because it's a little intense. And then we're gonna finish up the video and talk about the disappearance of tracks in America and how anybody thinks that's a good idea. So, what am I talking about stuff creaking? Well, this whole thing moves, right? Okay, cool. Let's get that Celsius, not sponsored, out of here. This thing. This. It's just so much. All right, I'm done bitching about my car today. If you're buying a C63, just know there's certain things you need to look for. There's certain things you're gonna have to live with, and you're gonna have to modify some things. But overall, it's a phenomenal car. If you get one, just know there's gonna be little odds and ends you gotta fix, but you're gonna have the time of your life. Now, we gotta talk about this track situation. I'm gonna turn on some AC though, because I'm dying. Y'all thought this was a game? Ain't no game, it's hot as hell. Now, there are tracks all over the country right now closing down. There are drag strips, racetracks, and the problem is the crime rate's going up. You have takeovers going everywhere, and there are organizations out here like Quiet Racing, 1320, and all that are trying to keep the car culture alive. We had an event, did a couple of videos ago, called Drift and Drag at Redline Raceway. It's so prominent now that racetracks are closing down. Redline's done. And they're done because obviously somebody wanted to buy it. There was multiple people looking at the property. But the driving stake in the heart of that track was somebody decided it was a good idea to steal $30,000 worth of timing equipment. So if you're watching this video, I hate you. Honestly, you're one of the worst people on the planet. You're scum, you're a thief, you're taking away from the community. I hope you see this and I hope you get butthurt, and if you do, hey, come handle it. Let's get it done. I have no problem throwing hands with you and giving that $30,000 back to them. However, around the rest of the country right now, there are tracks closing down at an expedited rate and nobody really has a solution for it. Now, what in my opinion do I think is happening that's causing all these track closures? I think first and foremost, it's EPA regulations. Sorry. They, and by they I mean the government, they are pushing everybody right now to go to electric vehicles. And with the electric vehicles, like, let's be honest, it takes the soul out of a car. Like, yeah, cool, you're fast for the first 3 seconds of a race. After that, you don't matter. And anybody who has an electric car and says otherwise, you're not a real car person. And I stand on that till the day I die. So you got regulations that are killing it, and we have a economic boom. Even though the economy sucks right now, we have an economic boom where they're building apartments, buying up as much land as absolutely possible. Real estate is through the roof, even though there's a massive shortage. And with that, as you get closer to a track, these people are buying these homes and realizing what they're doing. However, in living near a track, things get loud. And when you first get there, oh, it's okay, it's Friday, Thursday, Saturday nights, like they're racing. You get over it. You have kids, life progresses, and you start complaining. And a lot of tracks have closed down because of that, including North Star right here in Denton. And the other big thing is we have to take a little bit of accountability as car people and realize that we are the problem. Now, what do I mean by that? Owning a track ain't cheap. It's not a glamorous life. You're not making a lot of money. But what you are doing is you are extending the olive branch to the rest of the car culture in your area and allowing them a playground. I mean, I've seen people complain about $25 tech cards or $40 tech cards for events at Ennis or Texas Motorplex, which is where Texas 2K will be next year. And I mean, while that sounds crazy because you're like, oh, I want to get out here and race. Dude, you put $10, $15, $20,000 in your car. You have $900 drag radials. What's $40 to be able to get out there and play and not get in trouble? And it's wearing on people. People aren't going to tracks. They're out here street racing. They're out here doing takeovers and stupid shit. But these people are putting their life and their livelihoods on the line and their houses and all that, and we're not supporting them. So what I'm getting at is I think the biggest thing that's going on right now at tracks is we have too much domestic growth, we have too many regulations, and the car community isn't supporting the tracks. So if you want the tracks to stay, get out there and support your tracks. All right, I think it's time for me to get out of here, but I will close this video down with some revs. I appreciate all you. If this is your first time watching a video, do me a favor, give me a subscribe. If there's ever something you want to see on the video, all you got to do is leave a suggestion. I take them all seriously. I appreciate all y'all. Stay savage.
Just tripping on day. Dreams got dirty, little lullabies playing on repeat. Might as well just ride around the nursery and count sheep.